Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Cole. It's Sunday evening, May 4th. This will be the announcement for week 16 for Political Science 1013 on the 16-week schedule for the spring 2025 term. Everybody, our exam is Thursday, and our due date for papers for those who are doing a paper is Friday. That's less than a week, so I assume this will be my last video message. I will communicate with you by email as necessary. And of course, you can contact me anytime through the course website or at david.cole@opsu.edu. For the exam, everybody, we have Units 7 and 8 on the Supreme Court and Congress class notes. We have 4 articles to look at, 2 about the Supreme Court and 2 about Congress. Running through those very quickly. You have an article by Mr. Jason Willick in the Washington Post discussing the possibility of a confrontation in the coming months between the President and the Supreme Court and how that might possibly be resolved. Okay. Then you have an article from the New York Times by Adam Liptick about Justice Amy Coney Barrett in particular. Now, Justice Barrett is a Trump appointee, so she's regarded as a conservative rather than a liberal, but in some cases she has gotten off the train and disappointed, I suppose, some of her colleagues and also Republican politicians, and made liberals happy in some cases. So you read all about Justice Barrett in Mr. Liptick's article. It's thought that her vote might be important, along with that of Chief Justice Roberts, in controversies that might come before the Supreme Court in the months to come regarding the Trump administration. All right, then on Congress, you have from the website Politico a profile of Senator Mark Wayne Mullin of Oklahoma. Now, we were reading about Senator Lankford just recently. So Senator Lankford and Senator Mullin will be the 2 senators, I assume, for many, if not most of my students, assuming you are from Oklahoma. Those are the 2 senators from that state. So you'll find out some interesting things about Senator Mullin. Among other things, the article mentions that he has been in the Senate only recently, just a couple of years ago, after having been in the House for about a decade. So he has served as kind of a go-between between the House and the Senate, especially the Republicans in each chamber. Now then, your final article is from the website The Liberal Patriot, and it's called Congress Has Only Itself to Blame for DOGE. DOGE, D-O-G-E, meaning the Department of Government Efficiency, the initiative that President Trump and Elon Musk took to try to cut spending and fire employees in the federal government. Well, everybody, scholars say that Congress does 3 things: legislation, then representation, which could include doing casework, opening individual case files for your constituents, and then oversight, which means, shall we say, auditing the money that's already been appropriated and trying to assure that that money was spent properly. Now, the author of the article says Congress does not do a very good job at that. Had they done better, maybe Elon Musk and DOGE would not have been necessary. All right. So that's what you're asked to look at for the exam, in addition to the class notes for Units 7 and 8. 10 or 15 of the test items will come from those readings, the rest from those class notes for Units 7 and 8. So, everyone, it's Sunday evening now. The exam is not till Thursday. Please, if you have not done so, check those links. If you run into any difficulty, please contact me. I will get that material to you. And remember, I try to check my email daily. I'll be contacted through the course website or at david.cole@opsu.edu. Okay, everybody, to finish up, let's finish up looking at the class notes for Unit 8. We were moving from the member in the member's constituency, running for re-election and doing things like casework, to the halls of Congress in Washington, D.C., inside Congress and how Congress works. We discussed the major leadership positions in both the House and the Senate, the most important leadership position being that of Speaker of the House, and that position is held at this time by Republican Representative Mike Johnson of Louisiana. We discussed the committee and subcommittee system. You will know notice that the committee system parallels to a large extent the structure of the federal bureaucracy. For instance, there are agriculture committees in both chambers to deal with the Department of Agriculture. There are some committees with broader responsibilities, such as the Finance Committee, the Senate Finance Committee and its counterpart in the House Ways and Means Committee, the budget committees in both chambers, and the appropriations committees. But outside of those, by and large, the structure of the committee system parallels the structure of the federal bureaucracy. Now, we go through the procedure by which a bill becomes law, which means a bill is filed and assigned to a committee. It will start out at a subcommittee of the full committee and move from the subcommittee to the full committee to the floor of the House and the Senate, with the additional step in the House of the House Rules Committee before it goes to the floor. That is what we call regular order. But it's worth noting that in the past couple of decades, they very often have departed from regular order. For instance, the budget bill that is before Congress right now, the bill that the president calls the One Big Beautiful Bill. More than likely, they will bypass the committee system on that bill. The details will be hammered out among Speaker Johnson, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, and members of the Trump administration, who will then come up with a bill that will be submitted directly to the floor of the House and the Senate. The reason for that is a big controversial bill like this, the way things are these days, very often will stall before it gets to the floor of the House and the Senate because there's an inability to come to an agreement unless that regular order is bypassed. Many people in and out of Congress, veterans of Congress, scholars of Congress, think regular order would be better. But it's noteworthy that in recent years on big controversial bills, they very often have bypassed regular order. Now, we talk about the tradition in the Senate of the filibuster. We also discuss the budget process and the reconciliation procedure by which budget-related legislation can be considered without being filibustered. Budget legislation cannot be filibustered. So if something is classified as budget reconciliation, it cannot be filibustered. Everybody, the budget has been one of the major hang-ups in Congress for the past decade or two. Very often they are unable to agree on a budget, so what they will do is pass a continuing resolution, so-called a CR, that will fund the government for a few weeks or months at a time, and they'll stipulate very often just fund everything at the same level as in the previous budget. And very often there may have to be a couple of continuing resolutions passed before a budget can be arrived at. Very often that will be several months into the fiscal year. Okay. Budgeting has posed a difficulty, and that's why they very often have had to bypass regular order. Pay attention to the distinction I draw between the legislator as delegate and trustee that goes all the way back to the British statesman Edmund Burke. Pay attention also to the amount of time a member of Congress has to spend on fundraising. We include a couple of slides from a PowerPoint presentation that was shown years ago to freshman members of Congress, emphasizing to them that they can expect to spend a couple of hours a day at least on fundraising, because the demands hundreds of thousands of dollars have to be raised for a House or Senate re-election campaign, which is a drain on their time and resources, and one of the things that makes serving in Congress less happy, shall we say, than it used to be. A number of members have retired sooner than they might have in the past. It's been reported for a few years now, because serving in the chamber these days, in either chamber of Congress, is just not quite what it used to be as far as getting anything accomplished, or so any number of former members of Congress report. After all that, everybody, I try to say a little bit to sum up the course as a whole. It's difficult to do that. Everything you say becomes outdated pretty quickly, and it's hard to update it. I try to do that a couple of times a year. But we do offer some speculation about what lies ahead for the political system. It's a highly uncertain time, and perhaps it behooves us all to take better care, pay more attention to our citizenship responsibilities. Well, can't say much more than that at this time. That will do it for the spring 25 term. I hope it's been a good experience for you. Remember, exam on Thursday. That's Thursday the 8th. And papers due for those who are doing them Friday the 9th. I sent messages out to a number of people for whom I'm missing exam grades. The exams can be made up anytime before grades have to be turned in on Monday the 12th. Maybe it'd be better to do that sooner rather than later. But I sent messages through the course website to students for whom I am missing one or more exam grades. So please check on that and contact me about making up an exam if you need to do that. And that will help a great deal toward getting you through the term successfully if you are missing an exam grade. Once again, any issues, problems, or questions, contact me through the course website or at david.cole@opsu.edu. Thanks again. Take it easy, study hard. I hope it's been a good experience for you here in POLS 1013 for the spring 2025 term.